Hi everybody, Brandon Hauser, the Dream Teacher here. I wanted to share with you some important insights about relationships today. So those of you that know me know that I am a clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist and psychic spiritual consultant. My main motive, my main desire in connecting with others and helping them through therapeutic means, through advisory means, is to help them dream better for their lives. Whatever's going on in that subconscious, I feel like has been a huge mystery to humanity for a while. And diving into that realm of the subconscious, our motives, our instincts, our desires, our feelings, our memories, these are all things that I like to work with, traverse, figure out, and kind of go into those realms. So what I wanted to talk to you all today about is relationships. I think about over 80% of my work is dedicated to helping people with relationships, and I wanted to instill within you an extremely important point, something that I have found time and time again needs to be applied with people that are coming to me with relationship issues. Okay, so allow yourself to be open, be vulnerable to information, take it with a grain of salt, find your own truth, but I am more than willing to bet that this is a universal truth for everyone. If you do not have a relationship with yourself, you are not going to be able to have a relationship with another person. A lot of times when you see codependent relationships or codependent behaviors, this is coming from a person who has a low sense of self-worth or self-love. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to identify this value, this worthiness of being loved from another person by being in a relationship. They're looking for that validation. They're looking for that moment of somebody accepting them fully and unconditionally, so that way they can do it themselves, so they can accept themselves fully and unconditionally. But I want to offer this information so that you can rewrite this script. When you fully love yourself completely, without condition, without limitation, doing so invites someone else to love you at that same capacity. So I think what I see a lot of people doing is, they struggle in relationships because they find somebody who may not love them in the way that they feel that they should be loved, or that the love is not reciprocated. A lot of people who do lack this relationship with the self, they're looking for that person to love them in the way that they love. So oftentimes they find that it's mismatched, and it is directly reflecting the relationship that you have with yourself. So let me reiterate this. The relationship that you have with yourself is directly reflected into the relationship that you have with another. And I would even go so far as to say that the relationships you have out there with any others, all others, whether it's family, friends, co-workers, it is reflected by the level in which you have that relationship with your own self. So let's speak just purely on intimate, committed, long-term relationships here. I think one of the biggest issues is people being afraid that a relationship is going to end, right? And arguably that's, it's an important factor, right, that a lot of people get concerned about. I don't want to invest in somebody if it's just going to end. But the thing about relationships is that they're here to teach us so many different things about ourselves. I think we are absolutely brainwashed into thinking that there's one perfect person out there that's for us, that's going to be with us for a lifelong journey of, paying taxes and getting mortgages and building a family. That is not at all what a relationship consists of. A relationship is really almost like a mirror, serving to show you how it is that you love, the capacity at which you love, period. So trying to find a sense of self-worth or self-love by being in relationship with another person is almost like an oxymoron, because that person can only love you at the capacity at which you even feel love in your own self. Let's take note of something here. When you feel a feeling, when you feel an emotion, you're not feeling it, in your shirt, you're not feeling it in the door, you're not feeling it in the tapestry, you're feeling it in yourself, in your body. And arguably, sometimes you're feeling it in the mind or the aura, your own kind of energy sphere. Regardless, you're feeling it within the self, and whatever that self is, whether it's consciousness, whether it's the body, however you define it, you're feeling it within terms of self, the limits of the self. So what you're feeling inside, that's what your partner is not responsible for. They're not responsible for any of the ways in which you feel. That is all on you. Just like you may hear people say, I am not responsible for the emotions of others. I'm only responsible for the reactions and emotions of myself. That's absolutely very true. So let's imagine this inverse, okay? Let's imagine what it's like if you have two people who are responsible for their own emotions. They take their own responsibility for the emotions that they have and the way in which they're processed or felt or thought about. Take two people that are understanding that they need their own sense of self-love in order to give love out to another person. This is going to be a rather harmonious relationship, and likely one that has the propensity to last long term. I think that there are many different types of relationships out there, but the one that people really want is this long-term partner. And I understand that feeling because it's something that does give you a sense of security, a sense of belonging, being with somebody who does love you without condition. It's a beneficial thing because it allows you to have a sort of support system, or at the very least one other person in the world who honors who you are, who respects who you are, and gives you that nurturing that humans absolutely need. We need that sense of nurturing, of being cared for and caring for others and nurturing others, in order to feel a sense of wholeness within the self. So the important takeaway here is to know that in order to healthily and truly, authentically love and be in love with another person, you have to find that sense of love within yourself first. It can't be the other way around. Otherwise, it's going to be a codependent situation where you depend on that person for love, and that person, nothing here on this earth lasts forever. That person is going to disappear at some point, or you're going to lose that person at some point. It's just how being a human works. What happens when that love, that source of love in the physical disappears? Well, you're going to be left with this whole sense of void, something that feels missing, or something that people, feel like they need to fill. That feeling, that feeling of being incomplete is something that so many people struggle with right now, right at this very second. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with people that feel this sensation, and it's debilitating. It causes stress, it causes emotional unwellness, which then, we all know now can lead to disease, it can lead to physical issues and symptoms, and it manifests itself in so many different ways when we feel that empty void of just nothingness. And what we fill this with, what we need to learn and understand, is that all feelings and all love starts within the self first. Those relationships we have with other people are going to mirror the capacity and level of love in which we have in ourselves. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, okay, I'm never going to find the right partner because they don't love me the right way, you need to love yourself the right way first. I often tell clients, if they're struggling with doing this kind of experience or just really loving themselves in this way, start out by doing something simple and a little bit silly. Literally start to date yourself. Buy your own self flowers and gifts and presents. Make a dinner and set the table for two. Do things that you would do or imagine yourself doing with a partner. Doing it with yourself. At the very least, you can treat yourself as if you remember you are a soul having a human experience. Take that soul and the human self and kind of separate them into two parts and allow them to date, allow them to get to know one another. Not only is this going to provide you with a sense of personal unity and feeling like there's this sense of wholeness within yourself, but it's going to allow you to understand what it's like to see different parts and sides of yourself. Oftentimes, those are the reflections that we see when we are, dating or in relationship with another person. We see those sides coming out because they kind of call them out on us. Most of the times, it's when we do something wrong, right? That they're like, oh, your ego is so obtrusive, or you don't care about anybody but yourself, or things of that nature. They usually come out when we are dating a partner, and that's why a lot of New Age people, spiritual people, philosophers, counselors, therapists, psychologists, etc., talk about how being in a relationship can serve to teach us so many different things, about ourselves and about the nature of our connections with other people, because it's absolutely true. Relationships are learning moments. I think, again, there's so many different types of relationships, and they all kind of serve their own purpose. But I know that a lot of people are looking for that the one, that's going to be with us for a lifetime. And I just want to be clear in something as well, so that people understand this. There is no one person, that we are supposed to be with. Arguably, the only one person we're supposed to be with is ourself, right? Because it's the self that is connected to source and knows that we are all connected. But I don't think that everybody can jump onto this concept yet or understand this fully and completely. Just because, being a human, we do have limitations on our spectrum of perspective here. So if not anything else, just come to know that in order to truly be happy in a successful, unconditionally loving, and long-term relationship, we first have to love ourselves authentically, honestly, and in as pure form as we can. Getting to that place can be a little bit difficult. Sometimes we have all sorts of traumas and memories associated with being vulnerable and loving that stem all the way back to childhood, because of something that someone else did. It kind of taught our brain that, oh, well, if I show love to another person, or if I make myself vulnerable, then this thing is going to happen. Perhaps there was a traumatic experience where you were vulnerable with somebody, and you were a child, and being vulnerable, that person maybe took advantage of you. Maybe, it could have been as serious as a rape situation, being raped by somebody that you trusted, and then all of a sudden feeling as if you may not be fully worthy unless you give of yourself sexually to somebody. That could be a trauma that's kind of buried. That's something that does have to be worked through in order to get to the core authentic expression of self-love within. It could be something simple, as you making yourself vulnerable through creating a piece of artwork for a parent, when you were a child, and they completely dismissed it and said it was bad, or, they just didn't care about it. So then you in turn thought, okay, well, when I express love to somebody, they don't care about it, so I should not care about it either. And then you may end up being cold in love with people and not even realize it because of some past trauma or emotion that attached itself to a belief within your subconscious mind and now exhibits as an expression or a pattern of expressions that you elicit when you come into a moment of being in love or love with another person. There's so many different reasons as to why we can block ourselves, and a lot of those can be at an unconscious level. That's why it's extremely important to chip away at it constantly. It's not something that you're likely going to get overnight. It's a process, it's a pattern, it's a lifestyle, it's a way of being in love. It's not just for being with another person and having a relationship and a partner. Being in love is a state of being. And once you achieve that in yourself first, then you can complementarily share it with another person. It all starts within the self.